recognize FN because the United States has their own, the United States Dressage Foundation, the United States Equestrian, the Eventing Association, all of those have their own little like certifications, and I haven't done any of those.
Okay, so is it correct to say the FN German certification trainer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, German certified trainer. Yep.
Brett Ingram, a federal. I'll write this one down here. And of course, my printer ran out of ink right before I printed this, and I'm like, oh. So
I guess they got the USCF standards or whatever, or do they even have anything?
Well, they run both. So the United States Dressage Foundation has their classes and their certifications that you can get through the USDF, and then the United States Eventing, I want to say it's EA, Eventing Association, they have another set of like certifications if you want to be certified through them.
That just means you have to land on your head enough times.
Well, it just means,
Go ahead.
You didn't tell me to yet.
Sorry. Mike, you know the routine. Now, everything that's on his computer is on my computer, so if you want to see what's going on, you can just look on his if you can see.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's big enough for you.
That's fine.
Go ahead and just give me a sentence of something, Brett.
Okay. Hi, Brett Ingram.
All the way up to the microphone.
Oh.
Yeah, bring that microphone. Move it. It's very flexible. So
You're going to have to get very personal with
Yeah.
it, you know, make it, you know.
Yes, essentially eat it.
Okay.
All right, so keep talking for me, please.
All right. So, looking forward to today's show. It's going to be really good. That good? You need more?
No, you can. Yeah.
How much more do you need?
Yeah. Just tell us, how Amy did with the training today.
Yeah, she rode really well. I'm glad the saddle worked out really good.
Good.
That was nice.
Am I plugged in?
Yeah. Oh, I don't have your headset up. There you go. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, back it down a little bit.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear good in your headset?
Yes. Very good.
Okay.
That's nice.
All right, that's it.
All right, see you later, guys.
Have a good one.
Yeah, make sure that these microphones are set to cancel noise out about a foot. So if you're back away from it,
Okay.
it won't pick up. Like it won't pick up that. If someone knocks on the door, it won't pick it up. You physically have to get right on it. And don't. It's a windscreen. I change the windscreen
All right, so
all the
let
time.
me
That's a,
fix this because I'm not going to turn my head around and look at Brett because I can look at Brett right here. So you're going to hear the beginning of the show, and then I'll start the show, and then we'll just go from there. If you blank or anything, do not panic. Like I said, don't worry. I'll take it all out of post. If you've got a cough, please do it off mic if you possibly can. Drink water and stuff during the breaks, as the knucklehead over here likes to grab his nice crisp plastic bottle and right here on the microphone. Oh, I'm so thirsty. Meanwhile, the levels are going, ow, 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 ow.
that's why I have this. It's a sippy cup all the way around.
And Mike, we're going to probably go long on this one just because between the two of you, you're a 35-minute show.
Right.
He potentially could add another 20 minutes onto the show, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, between the uhs and does, I can consolidate everything.
Cut it out, yeah. I'll give you plenty to cut out.
Yes. And you see where your camera's at? Right here in front of you?
So if somebody's saying something and I would like it cut out, I just grab my thing and start crinkling it.
Yeah.
And you just cut the
Wrong
whole
answer,
segment
wrong
out.
answer, wrong. Crink, crink, crink. Ah, they lost the whole segment.
Yeah, that's it.
And Mike, do you want me to leave this screen on for you so you don't have to turn and look at Brett? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with looking at Brett.
He's a cutie. I like looking at him.
But I mean, sometimes, like for me, if you watch this on camera,
Right.
yeah. It doesn't look very.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. We'll just.
And I'll bounce in between the recording screen and all that, so make sure.
Am I coming across okay?
Yes, you are. Personally, no.
No.
Audio wise, yes, you're fine.
Well, it's like asking how you feel. You don't really want to know. You're just acting like you're being nice.
Right. All right, you ready?
Yep.
I got a web in my freaking throat. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that on mic.
Yep.
Ready?
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright and so on. Its It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein, the best podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stein is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF1 accreditation. On this week's episode, we meet Brett Ingram, a federal national German certified trainer, and also what is a trainer's perspective on in-hand work with horses, along with long lining and training or conditioning, and also shoeing horses for different disciplines as well. All this and much, much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. And over to my far right-hand side is Mike Stein. How are you?
Doing good. Good morning, Travis.
I'm doing all right.
Good morning, Brett.
Thank you for asking. And over to my far right-hand side is Brett Ingram. Did I say that right? Tell me the actual title, because I messed it up and I want to give you all props. Tell me the actual title that you are.
Federation National German Certified Trainer.
Very good. And you've been doing this for how long, Brett?
I've been a trainer since 1999.
Oh, wow. So you've been there for quite some time. So here's one thing. As you guys know, we have a brand new horse here on the property. We have Diego. He's 3 years old. And the total property here has about 4 horses on it. My aunt, my dad's sister, came over this past weekend because my dad, as you guys know, have moved up here recently. And my aunt's one of those people that just goes, oh, my daughter would love this place. Everyone loves horses. I love horses. My daughter loves horses. She would stay here all day long if she could. And when I hear that, I think, do you know what actually takes to make, this property work and function? You feed the horses in the morning, you got to clean the poop, you got to clean the pee. It's 80% work, physical work on the horses, maintenance, getting the shoes done, doing the training like Brett does, doctor's visits, all that stuff. And then it's 20% relaxing and just riding. So when people say, oh, I love horses, no, you don't. No, you don't. You love the 20% that you do. You don't know about the other 80% that you have to do. Are you feeling the same way that when you hear that, Mike, when people say that?
Oh, yeah.
When they go, oh, I wish I had a horse, and then you go,
well, good way to spend a lot of time. There are plenty of people that board them out and somebody else is doing that. But to have them at home is a lot more than most people think.
Now, Brett, you've been training since 99. And do you look at some people and just go, are they into it? Are they not into it? I mean, I know you got a lot of clients and stuff out there, but what do you suggest when people say, oh, I love horses, I just want to jump on a horse and train? Do you actually give them a breakdown and say, do you know what it takes to do this? And do you know what it takes to do this?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have to go through all of that, because otherwise it just looks like job security for me,
You can get a little closer to the microphone. Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
We go through everything. What it takes to keep a performance horse, up and ready. And as far as the feeding and the shoes and daily maintenance and care, especially whenever the owner wants to have the horses at home.
Now, when you take on a new client, do you do like a checklist? Like, are you doing this? Are you doing this before you even attempt? Or do you just, I don't want to say train all levels, but is there a certain cutoff where you're like, look, you are not ready for my teachings because my teachings would be wasted on you type deal?
So I think we go through more of a, how dedicated are they?
That would make more sense. Yes.
If they want to do, trail riding and, low level dressage or low level eventing, but they just want to have a really good time and just as far as safety goes, then that's probably not the client that I would take on. I would like to have someone who really wants to show and be competitive with their horses. So yeah, we definitely talk about it.
So let's say out of 10 people that come up to you, are you turning away 1 or 2? Or you basically, it's word of mouth where, someone will go, hey, this is my trainer. You should check out Brett. He's good doing this and good doing that. Okay,
yeah,
great.
A lot of it's word of mouth for sure.
Well, very good. Now, Mike, so what have you been doing? You went to a clinic this past week?
Yes, I went to a clinic, Stephen O'Grady and Andy Parks. Andy Parks both of them are veterinarians. Both of them are well-versed in the podiatry into the horse. And for those who did not go, you missed a very good educational clinic.
Where was the clinic at? I'm sorry.
It was up in the Tryon area.
Tryon, North Carolina, or Tryon, the town Tryon? Is there a town Tryon?
Yeah, there's a town Tryon. But,
Okay.
it was in the Tryon area. It was not in the town.
Okay.
It was not at the show facility. There was, pretty good turnout. People came from all over the place: Ohio, Georgia, Tennessee. We had about 25 farriers showed up. There probably should have been more. Getting people out for that sometimes is a little tough.
Now, you did a clinic while you were out there.
Right.
And about how many people kind of showed up, and did you learn? I always ask this when you do a clinic. Is there anything that you learn?
Well, I was not doing the clinic.
Oh, okay, sorry.
They were the speakers and demonstrators, and there was some hands-on work done there. But yeah, a lot of it, as long as I've done it, is review, and you get some different angles. You always learn something. And for those who did not show up, they missed a wonderful opportunity with some of the best in the country.
You're saying that like you invited like 100 people and only 2 of them came to your birthday party.
I couldn't even get 2 to my birthday party. I had to pay them.
All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, we'll dive into a little bit more of Brett Ingram's career and background, and we'll find out what's going on with Mike Stein as well. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. We'll be right back.
Hi.
Yeah, crinkle, crinkle. Take a drink now if you're getting ready to, if you need to moisten up. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein, the official farrier of the 2018 World Equestrian Games. Make sure you follow him on Facebook, and the way you do that is to search Equine Dynamics, Mike Stein, over on Facebook. You've been posting a lot of pictures over there, Mike. You got a lot of pictures from the clinic over there, and you also have been doing or showcasing a couple videos. Your video page is getting up a little thicker with subscribers and stuff, and you can find him on YouTube as well. That's Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein over on YouTube, and for every podcast we do, we have a matching video as well. There's me waving to Mike, Mike waving to me, and over on my far right-hand side, further right-hand side, is a very special guest, Brett Ingram, a Federal National German certified trainer who's visiting us here in the studio. How are you, Brett?
Wonderful.
How are you, Mike?
I'm doing good.
Now, so we're going to talk about a grant, Brett, that you received for what? That's the only thing I have in my notes.
Yep.
Brett got a grant.
Yeah. So
explain that a little bit for us.
I applied for the JJ Tate grant through the Dressage Foundation, and luckily I received it. So that grant is for me to work with a mentor, and my mentor is Richard Malmgren, and we work together through the long lining. Richard is fantastic at long lining and has really helped me a lot, working through the long lining, showing me, how to keep the horses balanced and straight, and just really getting them to use their full potential through their bodies.
Now my wife has a long lining set. I guess you suggested to her to get this long lining set. What's the advantage of doing long lining as to having an actual ass in the saddle?
So the long lining really helps the horse develop without having the weight of the rider. And sometimes the rider helps the horses a little too much. So the long lining kind of holds the horses responsible for figuring things out on their own a little bit. So a lot of the horses are, crooked, or they don't want to move forward, or maybe their balance isn't so great. So through the development on the long lines, they can learn to be more forward, more balanced, straighter through their bodies, and they can, just take ownership of themselves, really kind of figure things out. The last time Richard was here, I have a young horse in training, and she just did not want to turn left. Like, nope, didn't want to go left. Like, does not know how to turn left. And so it was really good to see Richard work with her on the long lines and explain to her, like, okay, you can really do this. Come on, girl, So now after that long lining session, she is so much more quietly turning left. We can easily, make a serpentine line. So bending lines from left to right, changes of direction. And now she understands it without me having to like physically help her turn to the left.
Now, Mike, when you see someone, a horse moving on a long line and a horse with a rider in it, does that affect the decisions you make on what you're doing underneath the horse?
Oh, yes. You always have to pay attention to what's going on. I wish people would spend more time building a horse for the ground. It would make my job easier, because if the horse is not carrying itself, if it's just being pushed through it, they're not really rounding up. One of the problems I run into with horses, too much, too fast. They're not developed for the job. People want collection. We want our upper level maneuvers, but they hadn't got the horse straight. They hadn't got the horse supple. They hadn't got the horse round where it can lift, can carry itself. And then but we want collection, and you're missing a lot of steps to get there. And there's too many horses working in false collection, and you'll see that in damage in the lower legs and feet over time.
So do you recommend the long lining over a rider in the seat, or no?
I would,
either way. Brett, you can jump in too.
The problem with long lining for me, when I've worked horses on my own, I don't really long line, but I do work from the ground, because I'd be tied up in that mess and hang myself. Probably make a lot of people happy.
You look like you're just coming out of an S&M show or something when you're done.
It's definitely a talent, keeping all those lines together. But it definitely takes both. You have to kind of explain things to the horses through the long lines. And some horses have no benefit through long lining. They do not do well with it. They need the rider up there. They want the rider's support and aids to help them understand what's going on. So long lining is not for everybody. But, for a lot of the horses, it just makes things so much clearer. It can really bring clarity to the understanding of the aids, to be more straight, to be more through, to take weight a little more on the hind leg, so that they can really use their back and their top line.
So when you get this grant, and is it a time frame? You've got X amount of months to achieve this,
right?
And what is that you're shooting for? What are you achieving once the grant is done?
So once the grant is,
and I'm sorry, what was the name of the grant again?
The J.J. Tate grant.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So through this grant, I will work with Richard to develop more of the long lining, so that I can provide that to my clients as well. And I will also go do a leadership class. And through that will, kind of help my business, help me better communicate, have, more confidence in myself, organize my business in a better manner, so that I can kind of diversify. And once kind of all of that is finished, I have to write everything down and present that to the Dressage Foundation. And then they kind of put that online, so then you can read about my experience.
So you were talking about your Federal National German accreditation, or your certification is, of course, known over in Europe. You call it the FN. Now, with this certificate that you're getting with your grant, is that recognized just here in the United States, or is it, because I know dressage, of course, is all over.
Right.
Is it just the United States?
Yes.
Dressage?
Yep. So
okay.
This is the grant is through the Dressage Foundation, which is here in the States.
Okay, because I think, dressage, you think the fancy, Queen of England's over there riding, horseback with no top on over there on the beach. So it's strictly here in the United States.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So once that's all done, you get a nice little write up and everything, and then do you sign on with someone to tour with a group, or do you tour with?
Yeah, once I have my training
Brett,
and everything over with Richard.
Brett, bear with me, because I'll ask a lot of dumb questions.
That's all good.
But
No
that's the what we do here.
No worries. So we'll go through everything with Richard. They give you a certain amount of money, and so once I kind of spend all the money, I go with Richard, take my leadership class, and then I kind of write everything up about my experience, and they post it out there for the next recipient, so that way everybody can kind of get an understanding. So some of the riders only do riding, and this grant can be used for continuing education purposes as well. So they can, like, I'm going to do the leadership class too, so I'm using it for both, using it for the long lining experience with Richard, and then also the continuing education part with the leadership classes.
Now, Mike, is there any kind of grants or any kind of funding or educational stuff for farriers all along the same lines as what Brett was getting?
As far as something along the lines of what Brett's getting, I do not know about it. I know that there are, for like the Hoof Care Summit, they will draw a couple people, a vet and a farrier. Let's see, I'm trying to think who does that, but they will get a way into the Hoof Summit to get them started. Roy Bloom, I think, is sponsoring that. There are a few other people that sponsor stuff for young farriers to try to get them in the mode of continuing ed, because it's limitless where we're going with this. In the last 20, 30 years, things have changed so much with our knowledge, with how we have to work because of arena footings and everything else we deal with. So there's no end to developing yourself as a farrier.
Now, Brett, how many people apply for the grant, the JJ Tate, you said?
Correct.
How many people apply for that grant and then get it? How many do they give out per year? Like the only 10 per year or 20 per year, or
they do 1 per year.
One person for what? Each state? The whole country?
No. Yeah, so it's throughout the whole United States. And I don't really know how many people
apply
sent in for the grant. Right. So so they just choose one. They have a board, and they go through all the grants.
So you probably could have beaten 100,000 people.
I have no idea.
Or 2 people.
Right. Well, I could have been the only one.
Yeah, are you in? JJ Tate, who's that? Well, I ended. Yeah, so there you go. All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, we'll talk about what is the trainer's perspective of in-hand work with horses on long line and a little bit more, and we'll talk to Mike as far as his feelings about not getting tangled up in the long line. Stick around. You'll listen to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back. There you go. You good, Brett?
Good.
Yeah? You getting the feel for it?
Yeah. Not too bad.
Crinkle.
Okay.
Or you can just look at the screen and talk to me.
I'll look at the screen.
Everyone looks better on TV, too.
Oh, Lordy. I look like I'm blending in with the couch over here.
Wardrobe. See? Wardrobe.
Yeah,
You
right.
always make the wardrobe. All right, here we go. I can turn the light off. You can be in the dark there if you
all good. No worries.
want. Put a flashlight on you like scary movie. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He was the 2017 American Eventing Championship Farrier. And make sure you follow him on Facebook. And if you have any questions for Mike, the way you do that is go over to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says contacts. There's a little form there. Fill it out, and we will answer your questions right here on the air. Make sure you put podcast in the subject line and put your return address, because any question that we read here on the air, we'll send you out some magnets and some stickers and stuff. And over to my far right hand side is Mike Stein.
Good morning, Travis. I think we already met this morning.
That's all right. And on my far right-hand side is Brett Ingram, the Federal National German certified trainer who just got a grant from JJ Tate, and he's upping his education as well. And he was discussing that earlier, and we were talking about long lining and stuff. So here's the question that I have for the two of you. Now, don't forget, for your podcast we have a matching video as well. You can see all 3 of us here in the studio waving to each other. Hi, everyone. Here's the question that I have, because a lot of times the front office doesn't know what the back office is doing, if you understand what I'm saying. So Mike has talked so many times that you need to have communication. You need to have an open dialogue between your vets, between your chiropractors, anyone that comes out and touches that horse, because Mike needs to understand what's going on with the horse so he doesn't mistreat or misdiagnose what he's doing on the ground when the horse's feet hit the ground. Now, Brett, you're the front office or the back office, however you want to look at it. What is one of the things, or how do you communicate to Mike? Now, you guys have a history together already.
Yeah, we've been working together for quite a long time.
A while, yes.
When you say a while, I mean, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What is a while?
4.5 weeks.
4.5 weeks.
Since what? 2000?
Yeah, at least
2000. Yeah. So what? My kind of biggest thing is I go to Mike a lot, and I say, hey Mike, like, we're having a little bit of issue with
help,
this.
Mike,
like,
help.
Yeah, like, I need a little help. So I'll notice, little different things. So most of my horses are on a 5-week rotation. So Mike sees them every 5 weeks. And so we can keep them fairly dialed in, because they are, performance horses. So with Mike, I can say like, hey, like, this is how this horse is moving. Would you like to watch this horse? Or I really need you to watch this horse. And then once he sees the horse, he can make adjustments to placement of the shoe or, thickness of the shoe or whatever he does, his magic that he does.
Now, don't say whatever he does, because I know a little background. You used to train to be a farrier at one time.
I worked with Mike. That's I did my own horses. That's, he taught me well. Good enough that I could
get a shoe off.
Yeah,
At least
back on the other week.
At least stick a nail through your finger,
Yeah, been there, did that. That kind of steered me away from that job. Yeah, it didn't last very long in that.
Oh well, you found a career that helps you and suits you as well, and I hope you're enjoying it as well.
Oh, definitely.
So Mike, when Brett comes up to you, or when you have a trainer that comes up to you, what is your response? I say, what is your response? Of course, hopefully it'll be positive. What is your communication back and forth with Brett?
Well, maybe you need to learn how to ride. No, I've got a few trainers that are very good about knowing what's going on with the horse, and I need their input because I'm not always able to see what's going on when they're working the horse. If they're feeling something odd or whatever, and I start getting some direction to start checking over the horse and figure out what to do. Just as an example, what's the horse down the hill's name? Doesn't matter.
Dominique.
Yes.
Or Diego.
Yeah, the other one.
The girl or the boy?
The girl.
boy.
The girl.
Dominique.
She was dropping out on one side.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Dominique's my horse that they're talking about. So I'm like, my ears are perking up going, what?
Dominique is not your horse. You just pay the bills.
I do pay the bills on that horse.
But she was leaning in, dropping in, and I was made aware of the situation and started checking the horse out. And I made some alterations in how I was doing her feet and how I was setting up a few things, and we got her where she was carrying herself more even. I think it was the right shoulder she was dropping out on.
Yep.
Now, when you said you were made aware, you're saying Brett physically either texted you, called you, or something like that, and said, "Hey, Dominique is dropping out on the left end," or is this like you were watching the horse and you saw that it was dropping off? How was that communication relate to you?
The communication came through Brett. It came through the rider, and I checked out the horse and I thought to myself, "You idiot! You should have caught that quicker." Once I saw what was going on, and felt her shoulder and could see what was going on. Because honestly, it was more about the feel, and that goes back to my old buddy Ray Morris, which Ray also worked with, the massage therapist.
Yeah.
And okay, we can do something with this because the shoulder is not attached like our shoulder. It's in a muscle sling. So it moves, it flexes as the muscles atrophy away. Sometimes they will collapse on that side. And okay, we need to think, okay, where's the horse? What do we need to be doing? how do I need to dress for this foot? Typically, I'm going to do pretty close from left to right in a lot of ways. Never exactly the same because hoof conformation is always a little different. Limb conformation is always a little different. Do I need to make adjustments because of limb conformation or hoof conformation? And in this case, we were getting weak on that one side, dropping out that shoulder, so we had to make some adjustments there. They were pretty small, but she's not shot exactly the same from left to right. But I think she is tracking in more of a straight line.
Definitely. I mean, the balance has changed. It changed the connection through the contact was much better, and just the ability to kind of keep her wither up completely changed.
Right. And what are you noticing in the back end?
So
now we're still talking about Dominique, right?
Yep,
okay, just check.
So she's much straighter
right
through the hind leg now. So before because she was so down in the right shoulder, she was twisting her haunches in order to compensate for her forehand. So now that we've got the forehand straighter, now the energy from the hind leg can actually travel in a straight line. So it's so much better.
Right.
Much better balance.
Kind of the crazy thing I run into on some of these horses. On her, where I made more of the adjustment was on that limb with the right shoulder. But so many of these horses are uneven, even in the front end. What I do in the back end sometimes makes a lot more difference than what's going on up front. And we tend to forget they got hind ends back there.
Right.
People look at front feet, not back feet much. And a lot of times when they're thinking about shoeing, the front feet are this, the front feet are this, front feet are that. And we haven't paid much attention to the engine.
So
very true.
So my question, because Mike, I've heard so much about the anatomy of horses through Mike. Now, Brett, part of your training, is that something that you learn in your training? Like when Mike says, the shoulder, I didn't know this, when our shoulders are different than the horse's shoulders because it's in a muscle sling. I can picture that. I understand that. Is that something part of your training where you actually learn a little bit of the anatomy of a horse? Or is it basically you're going to Mike and saying, hey, Mike, the horse is not going left. I need you to put shoes on it to push it to the left.
Right. So our, in the training, we do a lot of the biomechanical stuff as well.
Okay.
So what's happening with the horse, but Mike is extremely good at the biomechanics, better than I am. So when I have little problems like that, like she's just not quite straight, she's not quite able to hold herself straight for a longer period of time, then that's when he can make those, minor adjustments and really help her out, figure out the balance.
And here I thought Mike was just slapping on shoes and hitting it in the ass and saying go.
Well, that's in reality, that's what really happens. As long as they think, that's all that matters.
All right, guys, stick around. We got a couple more segments to get into, and we'll let you get back to enjoying the rest of your day. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back.
Can I take a fun little break?
Yeah, help yourself.
My bladder's smaller than it used to be. You won't have that problem.
Not yet. We did all the photos when I was in Florida with Richard. So they did all of that stuff down there. And now, finally they emailed me all the questions.
Getting around to writing the article.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Cool. Sounds like fun.
I hope you make $1 million because of it.
All I ask for.
So does my wife.
All I ask for, 10%. That's all I want.
10%.
Continuously 10%. For every check that comes in.
That's right.
I remember Brett when he was on the show. And
Right.
all right.
Good morning.
You got all your P's and Q's together?
I got my piece taken care of anyway.
All right. Here we go. You ready, Brett?
Ready.
Okay. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein, the best podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Don't forget, make sure you follow Mike Stein over on Facebook. He posts a lot of pictures from the past clinic they had over there in the Tryon area. And make sure if you have any questions for Mike Stein, you go over to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page, there says contacts. Fill out the little form there. Make sure you put podcast in the subject line. That way everyone knows or at the office that it's for it's a question for the podcast, and he doesn't get mixed in with all those like bills and stuff, all the other stuff. And we'll answer it here on the air. Make sure you put a return address so we can send you out some free stuff as well. And over to my far right side is Mike Stein.
Good morning, Travis.
And we have a special guest here in the studio. We have Brett Ingram, a Federal National German certified trainer. Hi, Brett. How are you?
Good, good. Glad to be here.
So we were talking about your grant and everything, and you out of two people got it, or you out of 200,000 people got it. We're not sure about that. But Mike and I are going to be at the Union County. Mike, I always forget what we're doing. I've got so much going on.
We're going there, and we're doing stuff, and come see us.
Where are we going to be at May 28th?
Union County Ag Center, Buckeye event, and there's going to be several educational talks going on.
And you're bringing Dottie.
Who's Dottie?
You tell me who Dottie is.
Dolly.
Sorry, Dolly.
Dolly is a pony skeleton that belonged to Tony Gonzalez that was used for education. So we're going to pack her up and bring her in, set up. She is suspended, so she shifts a little bit. Mm-hmm. And if you're coming over, we'll get a little video of that.
And this is a real horse at one time.
At one time, probably a medium pony.
And Brett, will you be at this event as well?
Unfortunately, I will not.
Oh,
we were trying to work on that, but
yeah.
We weren't important enough.
Brett's got a whole lot of other stuff going on. Now, speaking of a whole lot of other stuff going on, we're going to talk about shoeing for different disciplines for horses. So I don't know what are different disciplines that a horse would come across where you would have to shoe the horse a little bit different, Mike?
Pretty much all of them.
Okay. I know. I was I tried to make the question as vague as possible.
Personally, as far as horses that are competing, I'm primarily dealing with dressage horses. As far as competing heavy 3-day event horses, a couple of jumping horses. Used to do a lot more jumpers, and I still do a little bit of the endurance work.
Now, Brett, do you just train dressage, or do you train in any other field or any other avenue as far as horses?
So I have clients that are dressage riders, and I have the eventers as well. So yeah, I get to dabble in a little bit of both, which is nice because then I keep my jumping skills up to par, so to say.
Now, as far as shoeing the horses, and you're asking, a lot from your farrier or Mike or anything like that, is there any specific thing that you would like to see change or added to when you jump in between the two horses, or do you see anything that's causing problems now?
Between the
dressage, the way the horses are being shoot for dressage or eventing, or anything in general that you see that's being done, but you would like to see change. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all depends on the surfaces that we're competing on. A lot of the arenas now have gone to the textured footing. So, and then you got to go out in the natural footing and ride cross country. So thank goodness that's what we have Mike for. So he can kind of blend all of the surfaces together and help the horse perform to its maximum capability.
And I forget, can you change if you're doing the dressage one day and the eventing another day? Are you allowed to change shoes? I forget. Or is it one size fits both sides?
Yeah, I mean, right now they're all once.
There are people that do change shoes occasionally, but you're asking a lot. You could have a set of something for the jumping arena, something for dressage. You could have something for your cross country. Most people are running one set of shoes, and we got to figure out where to get them through the whole deal with the one set of shoes.
That's because Mike can't be there at the show. And
well, I have been a show farrier, and you see so many different things. You can't. What you got to learn to do is figure out what the other guy did and stay as close to that as you can, which that's a whole weird learning curve. because you see horses that come over from Europe. Some shoeing styles are very different there. With the eventers, it used to be traction. All the we didn't worry about it in the arenas because they were all on the sand or dirt arenas, and you could have some traction just like we used to stud jumping horses.
Right.
The big jumper, sometimes we'd have 3 studs in the back end on each side, not 3 on both feet, but one on one side. And I've seen some with four studs set up in the back end. The idea was to use smaller studs so that hopefully they could pivot on it. But the new surfaces are so grippy. Now we're trying to figure out how to get the foot to glide on the surface. We're having to build a lot more mechanics in the shoe because it's depending on the firmness of the surface. They sit on top, and instead of the foot rotating in the ground, and you get some break in one direction or another, where the foot rotates into the ground, and you get the ground purge. It sits on top and rolls across. So it's still got to take the pressure off tendons and ligaments. Just if you're putting flat shoes on there and they're doing a lot in your dressage horses, you got to deal with a lot more lateral breakover. Jumper would be more forward. They do need some lateral breakover, but they're not going to depend on it near as much as a dressage horse. And your event horse is going to do jumping. He's going to do dressage. He's going to do cross country. And we do have options of putting studs in the horses for cross country. And because out on a cross country course, if you've got a sloppy course and they're slipping and sliding, you're going to end up with an injured horse because of sliding too much, horse going down, rider going down, whatever.
So let me ask you this. So what is the main difference? So like between let's say pre-St. George dressage horse, strictly dressage, and then you have a horse that's going, prelim cross country, but they have to do all 3 phases in the same shoe. So if what would be the difference that you're really trying to?
Well, typically, like the pre-St. George horse
For dressage. Okay. So they're moving a lot lateral. So that means you got a
lot more lateral breakover. Where they can roll side to side more. On cross country, that horse is going to be moving. He's going to make some turns.
Right.
But he's going to be moving forward.
Right.
So you got to look at more lateral breakover, a lot more on the dressage horse. The other thing is trying to figure out what slides in what arena, because when that foot hits, okay, the hind foot coming into the horse, if he doesn't slide a little bit, he's not going to come as far into the body.
Right.
And then you got, okay, on support, what would support a shoe on one surface? If you're sandier, where does he work most of the time? And then how's he going to go to the show?
Right.
Because on some of these surfaces at the arenas are real firm, and putting support on there creates grip, but we need to hold the bone column where on a soft ground, it will give into the ground. On some of the hard arenas, we're trying to figure out ways to get the shoe to give into the ground to soften some impacts with, like penciling the one. We may pencil one branch real narrow.
Okay.
To get that branch to sink into the ground a little bit to soften impact, where on a sand surface, that's not that big of a deal. It's like you take a reining horse sliding plate, and you got horses that are beating up their suspensories. Typically, drawing out that toe real wide as they come in. If they hit on the toe, they'll glide a little bit. But then there are some of these synthetic surfaces we're working on where that wide plate will grip, and something like a half round where you got a very narrow point of contact would glide on the ground easier.
Okay, I gotcha.
And aluminum becomes a set of brakes on some of these synthetic surfaces. It sticks like an eraser, and so that you're not seeing near as much aluminum going in these things as we used to. And that was more in the hunter horses.
Right.
Does that help you out a little bit there, Brett?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's just nice to know that, that you do have to shoe for the different phases, but because the horse is doing all 3, that you can get kind of that lateral breakover for the dressage, but then you can get the glide and forwardness for the cross country because you got to make time.
Right. Yeah, and I would, typically on a dressage horse, you're going to deal with a bigger bone, bigger horse. So you're going to put a little thicker, a little heavier, maybe metal on them, which on, okay, I just got back from I don't want to call it the Rolex so bad.
Yeah.
The Land Rover.
The Land Rover. For those 5-star horses, that was a 4-mile course.
Right.
And it had a lot of obstacles, water and everything else. And on that horse, if I can cut a few ounces over what I would do on a dressage horse, at the end of that 4 miles, you're going to have a little bit more horse there, and a few ounces can make a difference.
Definitely.
When you're looking at a dressage horse, how long's a dressage horse working in your pre-St. George upper level when they're in the arena?
5 minutes.
Like 8 minutes, 9 minutes maybe.
They're barely getting warmed up.
Right. Yeah. You do a lot longer warm up than you do the test.
Exactly.
For sure.
And hopefully they've done the warm up and will warm up the horses, because if they don't, then we have other injuries. But, carrying a little weight there is not good. And also, to get that leg movement, sometimes we need a little bit of inertia.
Sure.
To help carry the leg. We need to get the leg to move enough to open up the shoulder, because if they're short and that shoulder's tight, we've got another kind of impact problem. You want the shoulder the shoulder moving, and then all that muscle in the shoulder is a huge shock absorber.
Right. So what is so the Land Rover, they have, fairly hard footing, it's all like clay and
right,
that kind of stuff. So, but then what if you go down to like Southern Pines, where it's super sandy?
Don't go to
and
Southern Pines. No.
everything like that. So, but you have to shoe the horses differently because now you're on a surface that is a little more soft, or
well, the deal on that is stud. We drill and tap the shoes for those guys.
Oh yeah.
And they've got their stud kits, and hopefully the trainer is adapt to the different type of terrains, because they can make adjustments on traction right there on site.
True. Yep.
And typically that's how that is handled. Your arenas, that's kind of hard to guess what's going on in the arena, because if you've got the same surface here, the same surface in Florida, as far as the type of footing they use, they're going to have a different sand in Florida. If you go out to Arizona, the sand's
definitely
different.
Yeah.
The moisture level is different.
Right.
The amount of humidity that arena's holding is different. And even if you're watering it, preparing it, coming in, all that, it's going to react different from arena to arena.
Yeah.
And even with dirt arenas, you're going to get that.
Yeah, because even just what you ride on in the morning is not the same arena you ride on in the afternoon.
No.
So it varies for sure.
So that's a little tough to guess sometimes. If you could figure out how to keep the arena surfaces identical everywhere we go, boy, it'd make my life a lot easier.
Well, that's one thing you said, Mike. You were saying, how are they going to stop weather? And, we have an open arena here, and I know my wife says as soon as it rains, as soon as it stops raining, I say as soon, like I'm out there with a stopwatch, all right, it stopped raining. She wants me to go out there and drag the arena because the rain kind of packs and pounds that crush run. Is it crush run that I have out there, Brett? I keep calling it crush run.
Yeah, it's
screenings or something.
Screenings, yep.
And so it'll pack it all in, and so I have to go out there and drive around in a circle, kind of like her on the horse, riding around in a circle to fluff that up. Weather is a big issue that you have.
Right. And I know that we've got at least one barn where they've got a couple of arenas, and they've got a couple of different surfaces. And one horse will like one surface better than the other horse. It's like a running horse. You have a turf horse and a dirt horse. But it's kind of hard to guess.
All right, guys, stick around. We got one more segment to get into, and then we'll let you get back to enjoying the rest of your day. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back.
The sound was coming through on the speakers. I'm like, what the hell is that noise? Stop! You're ruining everything.
And you expected different because of what?
No.
All right, we're going to come back, and we're going to basically just wrap up the show. Like I said, Brett, what did we learn today? I am going to ask you I'm going to ask you a little bit about the grant. So if you want to touch on the grant one more time, and I'm going to ask you, what's the most important thing you want horse owners to understand about the horse training process? So think about that, because that'll be your main question that you can, give me 500 words or less on.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
All right. Mike, you good?
Yes, I am.
All right. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein, the best podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stein is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF1 accreditation. Make sure you follow him on Facebook as well. Don't forget, for every podcast we do, we have a matching video as well. You can see me waving to Mike, and Mike waving to me. And over to our far end side, we have a very special guest as well. That's Brett Ingram over there. Hi, Brett.
Hey.
Hi, Brett.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Also, if you have a question for Mike Stein, email him over at equinedynamics.com. There's a little section that says contacts. Fill out the little form there. Make sure you put podcast in the subject line and your return address so we can mail you out some stickers and stuff. And don't forget, we'll also be at the Union County Ag Center. On May 28th. I think the doors open at 9. I'm going to get there about 10 o'clock. Mike's going to get there probably the day before and spend the night, because he's got to set up Dolly, which is a small, full-scale pony skeleton.
Yes.
All right. So what did we learn? What did we learn today? Brett, tell us a little bit more about the grant that you got, and what is it going to give you, and what is it going to let you achieve?
So the grant is from the JJ Tate grant. It is from the Dressage Foundation, and it is going to further my education in longlining, working with Richard Malmgren, and also provide me with the opportunity to take a leadership class.
And what is the most important thing you want your horse owners to understand about the horse training process?
It's long. It's a journey.
And
take your time.
And
have
it never
fun.
ends. It never ends.
Doesn't. No, we learn every day. The horses teach us something new every day. So be open to it. Take your time, enjoy it. Really listen to your horses and slowly, patiently figure things out. It's a wonderful experience.
And Mike, your opinion about watching a horse on a long line rather than having an ass in the saddle, as far as the way you're going to look at a horse and way you're going to shoe that horse?
Well, I wish people would take the long lining groundwork, building a horse up a little more seriously than just riding them, because I want to get on the horse to ride it because that's fun. There's too many horses that are not prepared for the job they're asked for, and then we see damage we have to deal with because of that. And prepping your horse for the job, preparing it for the job, getting it strong enough for the job is a lot better than paying a lot of exorbitant fees to myself and the vet.
Would you like
keep your horse
Would you like to see a 60-40, 70? When I say 60 long line, 40 ass in the seat, or 70-30? What was?
That's going to depend on the skill of the rider and the horse.
Brett, what did you?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think the long lining is a great tool, and the in handwork is a great tool to have. But ultimately, the horse needs the help of the rider a lot, and sometimes they get kind of the idea of it through the long lining, and then the rider can help better explain it.
Translate it for him.
Exactly.
Also, shoeing for different disciplines, like we were talking about. Brett is fully trained in the eventing, cross country, and also dressage at the same time. And Mike has to adapt his style as far as adapting those shoes to those different surfaces that they encounter during those things.
Yeah, that's always changing depending on your surface. And in the race world, it looks like there's probably some big changes heading down the way there as far as changing on traction devices. Rules that will be coming down the line. We'll have to see where that settles out. But working around the arena, working around the season, because that plays into it. And also, you're trying to work with the rider. If I've got a rider that is sitting one-sided, it's going to be a little harder to keep the horse even. If they're working uneven, I'm going to get odd wear patterns. I'm going to get weird pressure points within the hoof capsule, and I'm going to continually have to chase that back. You can take a horse and change riders and totally change the hoof wear and hoof compression patterns.
We'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening to us, downloading us. Make sure you share us and like us on Facebook. That's Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. Make sure you follow us on your YouTube channel. Mike's been posting a bunch of videos up there. And make sure you come out and see us on May 28th at the Union County Ag Center. Mike will be out there with Dolly, a big old horse skeleton, and he'll be giving a couple speeches or clinics out there, and I'll be out there as well, but I'm not going to get there until about 10 o'clock, so if you want to sleep in a little bit, by all means, go ahead. On behalf of Brett Ingram over there and Mike Stein, my name is Travis Holmes saying, see you next week.
Have a good one.
Take care.
There you go. That one in the book.
Good night, Ned.
Awesome.
Good night, Ned. Good night,
And
Ned.
later this afternoon, he will get it out,
Yep.
and I'll put it up. We'll send you so you can put it on your
Yep.
Facebook,
Put on the Instagram account.
Instagram,
Facebook. Yeah, for
Facebook,
sure.
yeah.
So when I do it, it takes. Oh yeah, you see my cells up here.
Love it.
And it was just like one of those things. She's like, I don't know what to get you for your birthday. I said, you know what, or Christmas. I said, you know what? I watch these stupid.